and welcome to Diaries of a Desi Dog, a mini-series. This series is the journey of Sundari. Her journey from the streets to a home and all the hurdles she had to face before finding a permanent home, and her growth thereafter into a loving member of her family. Indian dogs are very much unwanted by most of those who desire dogs as pets. Although the situation is changing now, there is a lot to be done before anything significant happens. Abused, uncared for, abandoned, and even poisoned in some cases, the animals on the streets go through a lot throughout their lives. We hear a lot of stories every single day about abandonment and abuse and killings of animals on the street. This has to change. It only requires kindness and a willingness to change the status quo. It only requires a helping hand to save these animals from misery. It only requires a compassionate heart to rescue them. The Indian dogs are very intelligent, hardy, acclimatized to the local climate, rarely affected by genetic disorders, easily trainable, very protective, extremely loyal, and very loving. Believe me, because I have first-hand experience in it. It was a month before college ended, and I was finally going home after years. And I always wanted a pet, so this time I was sure that I will get a dog at any cost. So before going home, I started researching online, and I found a few numbers of people who had potential pets for adoption. So I called all the numbers and asked specifically for a female dog, because I read somewhere that female dogs make great first-time pets because they're very loving. And
I have also read that female dogs were less likely to be adopted by people because usually most of them preferred male dogs over female dogs, because the female dog would go into heat and give birth to litters upon litters, and it would be very hard for the pet parent to manage. So that is why they preferred a male dog. So that was also another reason for me to choose a Desi female dog.
So I was asking for a female dog, and a few of them, after hearing that I wanted a female dog specifically, suspected that I was a breeder, and then started yelling at me and rejecting my requests. So I finally found this organization where they told me that they had a female dog available which was recently rescued, and they gave me a number of Mrs. Kedareshwari. I called her up and I told her the same, saying that I was a doctor looking to adopt a pet. I wanted it to be an Indian dog and I wanted a female, and that. She readily accepted and assured me that I would definitely get the dog. And she told me that she has recently rescued a dog, and she has given it to a foster named Teja. And she said once I go back to Hyderabad, once I come to Hyderabad, I could take the dog. And she gave me his contact number and asked me to talk to him. I spoke with Teja, and he sent me a video of all the dogs he has had. He's a rescuer himself, and he dedicated his life to rescuing animals. So he sent me a few videos of the dogs that he had, amongst which there was Sundari, of course, and a Labrador, a black Labrador, and a dog with a fractured foot which was still healing and not ready for adoption yet. So I've seen the videos, and Sundari was there, and as you can see in the video, Sundari was very small and she was like slipping around and frolicking with the other dog, and a very playful and active dog. So I've seen the videos, and I told him that I would definitely adopt Sundari, and I asked him to save her for me. And then I started researching online to be prepared for the dog to come home. So in my research, I found out that you need to have so many things. You need to be very well prepared before getting a dog home. And a few of these things were very basic for a dog to be there. Otherwise, it will be a great mess. You will not know what to do, and the entire experience will be ruined. So I researched online and I made a list of things that I needed before the dog has come, and those were a crate, a few chew toys, other toys to play with, a crate blanket, dog treats, dog food, a leash, a walking leash, a general leash, and a chain. The chain should never be bound around the neck. The chain should always be hooked to the collar so that it won't strangulate your dog. Right. So I got all of these things. I ordered them online. I'll post the links in the description below, so that will be easy for any first-time pet owners, or if you're planning to get a pet. If you're planning to be a pet parent, it's going to be an easy find for you because I'll put everything in the description. Just click the link and go and order it if you like it. So this was a medium-sized dog, so I had to get a crate for a medium-sized dog. It was a 40-inch crate. So I planned in a way so that I didn't want to buy more and more crates, because one would be sufficient, as this one, the one I got had a partition in between. So if the dog was a little pup, we could use the partition to create enough space for the dog. Because what happens is, this is one thing which is very important when you're creating your puppy. If you put the pup in a large crate which is larger for her, larger in the sense a proper size crate for a dog would be where the dog would go into the crate, there must be just the right amount of space for it to take a turn and then lie down. It should be enough space for her to take a turn and lie down. That's it. She should not walk in the crate. If she starts walking in the crate, what these puppies do, they poop on one side and they sleep on the other side, and your entire day will be occupied cleaning the crate again and again. So get a crate for the adult size, but make sure you put the partition in the right space so that it is enough for the dog to just take a turn and rest. Right, so I ordered the crate and other things as well, and a month passed by without me knowing, and it was time for me to go home. So I reached Hyderabad and I contacted Teja the next day, and I went over to his place to get Sundari. There I saw her playing around with the Labrador, and both of them were really close buddies. Both of them are females and both of them were waiting to be adopted. So I came to know that the Labrador, being a breed, had already had a long line of adopters willing to take her. But Sundari, on the other hand, being an Indian dog, she did not have anybody willing to adopt her. So that is when I felt that my choice was absolutely right in choosing her to come with me. So we spoke. I stayed there for around 3 hours so that she's acclimatized to me. She becomes familiar so that she doesn't feel lonely once I take her home. So we spoke about a lot of things there, about adoptions and about his work, about how he rescues animals and all of that. And there was this little formality that they had, that we had to provide a government approved ID card along with filling the adoption form, which I really liked, because the adoption form contained details, personal details like name, address, phone number and other things, occupation. And it also had a provision for the neighbors to sign if you're living in an apartment, giving you permission to get the dog, because sometimes they complain, and if they complain enough, you can actually lose the dog. So if you're staying in an apartment, it's always better to take the permission of your neighbors before getting the dog. If you're living in an independent house, that is not needed. So after the formalities were done, before taking her home, I just got this little basket to put her in so that she would feel safe and comfortable in it, and then I took her home. And after that, and right after I got her, before taking her home, I called up Mrs. Kedareshwari again and told her that I found the pup, and I thanked her for her help. And she told me that she has already been given a dose of vaccination, and to take the other list of vaccinations and the schedule and everything from Teja, and which I did. And then I took her home, and people at home did not know that I was getting a pup. It was a surprise for them, but you do not imitate this. This is a very wrong move. I know that my folks back at home are animal loving, and I know that they would accept her. So I took this brave decision of just making it a surprise, but it does not always work. So it's always better to prepare prepare your family for the pet and then bring her home, so that it will be an easy transition for the pet and everybody at home, because one person cannot take care of a dog. It must be a combined effort of everyone in the house. The dog belongs to everyone. It does not belong to a single person in the house. So anyways, moving on. I went home, and that's how Sundari has come home. And I was really glad, and I was very happy, because I always wanted a dog. I've been trying to get it for a long time, but because of my studies and because of me being away from home, I could not do that. And I finally got her home. And one more thing before ending the episode, I would also like to tell you another little part of the story of Sundari, that right after she was born, she, along with her siblings, five of the pups, were tied in a bag and thrown in the trash and discarded. And Mrs. Kedareshwari rescued them, and she had the pups for some time before sending them to the foster. So it's been 2 years since, and I got into contact with Mrs. Kedareshwari, who herself is an animal activist, rescuer, and a foster parent to so many dogs and cats. She is truly an inspiration for everyone, because she's very kind-hearted towards animals. And she worked and retired as a curator in Salarjung Museum. So I luckily got into contact with her and requested her to narrate the story, so that it will be even better to listen to it through her. And she readily and very graciously accepted my request. And now let us listen to what Mrs. Kedareshwari has to say.
It was the hot summer of 2018, the first week of May, when I suddenly got a telephone call that somebody had abandoned 5 pups tied in a gunny bag on the main road near Mushirabad. I was just on my way to office, but I diverted, went to that place and found a kind watchman who had opened the mouth of the sack and released 5 pups. The pups were hardly 15 days old. I requested the watchman to keep him in the apartment because the ground floor was unoccupied. So he agreed. I gave him some money, and there was a milkman passing by. It's a great coincidence. I got some milk, fed them, and proceeded to office. On my way back, I brought some puppy food, fed those pups, told the watchman to take care, that he would be also rewarded for it, and returned home. Looking after the pups, just about 2-3 weeks old, was very, very challenging. But somehow I managed. Out of the 5 pups, the white one, as natural with human beings, somebody picked up the white pup, and we do not know what happened after that. But the rest of the 3 pups got adopted. But this pup, whom Dr. Ajit adopted later on, from May 18th or 19th, had hurt his eye, so I had brought him home to cure him. And Dr. Nagaraj, the head of Animal Veterinary Telangana, was very kind, helped me to cure his eye ailment, and then I passed on the pup for adoption to a foster called, I forget his name, and then later on Teja. I passed him on to Teja, and later on Dr. Ajit adopted him. While the pup was at home, it was quite challenging for me to keep him safe, because we had a number of cats at home and the pup was too small to protect himself. Somehow, with God's grace, he has got adopted into a very good family, and thanks to Dr. Ajit and his family, Sundari has found a very loving home.
Well, that's quite a beginning Sundari has had right after she was born. She had to go through so much. And that's all for this episode. In the next episode, let's see how she fought with parvovirus. Now, parvovirus is a very common, it is an illness in puppies. It's very common in street dogs, especially. It is spread through fecal contamination, and it is a very dangerous disease because the puppies easily die. Most of them die, they don't survive because they get dehydrated and timely rescue is not done, so they usually succumb to the disease. So in the next episode, we will see how Sundari has overcome parvovirus, And that's all for now in this episode. Tune in for the next episode on the coming Saturday. Tap the like button and subscribe, and ring the bell so that you get regular updates, and share the video for the love of animals, and also comment below about your experiences with your furry friends, and tell us if you like the video. See you next week.